Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, August 11. On this date in 1997, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Denver, Colorado. In the main event, Randy Savage defeated Curt Hennig by disqualification. On this date in 2003, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Moline, Illinois. In the main event, Goldberg pinned Ric Flair in a no disqualification match. On this date in 1953, Terry Bollea was born. The wrestling legend known as Hulk Hogan turns 59 today. On this date in 2008, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Richmond, Virginia. In the main event, Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase defeated Batista and John Cena to win the WWE World Tag Team Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, August 11.
You are listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Dairy.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Thank you to Eazy-E Eric Bischoff for the sounder. And, of course, Eric, a good friend of Hulk Hogan, 59 years young today, the Hulkster.
Jeez.
Who'd have thunk it, brother?
Man.
Who'd have thunk it? All right, a lot of stuff to talk about as we've had the entire hour. First, of course, I didn't give you the chance to talk at all about Completely Damaged last time you were on a couple weeks ago. There was so much going on. I don't want to be victimized by that twice because I think you might have to take me out back here and then rough me up a little bit. So, all right, what's going on in the world of CompletelyDamaged.com?
Well, finally, we went on the road last weekend. We teamed up with DDP and DDP Yoga in Lancaster.
Diamond Dallas Page.
Diamond Dallas
Wow.
Page. Yep. We were at the Lancaster Barnstormers baseball game. It's a great night of action as far as the game goes. Like 3 home runs in the first inning, and we got to do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff with DDP. We did DDP Yoga live with the minor league baseball team, and actually RC went in there and did the yoga himself, and it's no joke. It's not your mama's yoga like DDP says. And DDP, great guy, and look out for the footage, and go to CompletelyDamaged.com for more information, and we're going to be hopefully updating the site soon and getting some new fans for the weeks. Guys, check it out. Let me know what you think, and definitely go see Fearon on there, writing more blogs, and who knows, maybe some video blogs.
We'll see. There's a reason I have a face for radio. I'm just that's all I'm going to say about that.
Just stay tuned for Damage because we're bringing out some good stuff, and hope you guys enjoy.
All right, from Hardcore Yoga, we're going to go over to Hardcore Justice. Of course, the pay-per-view tomorrow night. We've got 7 matches on the card, and all interesting to say the least. At least they're not going with every match necessarily being a hardcore format, although the 3 Bound for Glory series matches, each having a different stipulation, each a 4-way match, and 20 points on the line in each of those matches. We'll get to those in a minute. First, let's look at the rest of the undercard. Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez against Gunner and Kid Cash. I'm going with Chavo and Hernandez just because Chavo's the new guy, needs to get a little bit under him. I know TNA hasn't exactly been the greatest at that, but again, that was under Vince Russo, who didn't necessarily think that wins or losses or matches really mattered because it was all about the backstory and whatever sex joke he could throw in there.
It's true.
Miss Tessmacher against Madison Rayne for the Knockouts title. I think Tessmacher retains.
Yeah.
That seems to be a growing trend. Same thing with the X Division title, Zema Ion against Kenny King. I know he's gotten a lot of momentum after coming over from Ring of Honor and kind of showing a little bit of dishonor in doing so.
They had a promo for him.
But, I think Ion retains, and it looks like they're on a collision course to bring back Jesse Sorensen, who's been recovering from the neck surgery that he had very early in the year. And, I can only imagine the ovation when Sorensen finally gets back into the ring and gets his hands on Ion, but
I'm going to go
a little
Kenny
ways
King
away.
On that one.
You're going Kenny King, okay?
Kenny King, yep.
And that's one of those where you can't go wrong either way, but they're my predictions certain to go wrong. So in that regard, I guess I can go wrong. All right, let's look at the 3 hardcore matchups for Hardcore Justice. You've got in the Falls Count Anywhere match, D'Angelo Dinero, Magnus, Mr. Anderson, and Rob Van Dam. I'm going a little bit off the board. I'm thinking Dinero's going to win this one. I'm going with the Pope.
Yeah, he's been out for a while. I forgot all about him. Then you saw the promo.
Well, yeah, and he's been part of the part of the Bound for Glory series. He's only won 1 match so far out of 8. And I mean, looking at the other competitors, I think there needs to be a little bit of a balance. And looking at the other guys, I mean, at least from some semblance of a logic standpoint, Magnus, sure, he could win, and that would boost him to sole possession of 4th place, looking at the Bound for Glory leaderboard. If Anderson won, he would jump up from 40 to 60 points, which would put him in 2nd place, at least, before the other matches. I figure at least with the Pope, he's got 7 points. A win would put him at 27. That would put him in 9th place, moving up from 11th to 9th.
Yeah.
So it won't necessarily harm him, and it'll make things a little bit more even, as you've got, what would that be, 18 points separating the top 3 spots. So with 20 points on the line, you don't want to shake it up too much. So that's why I'm going with De Niro on that.
How about Rob Van Dam? How many points is he?
Rob Van Dam is currently tied at 5th with 35 points. So if he won, that would boost him up to 55, which would put him in 2nd place, just ahead of Samoa Joe. So that's, again, those who with a win would get too close to the top of the leaderboard. And, they have to kind of spread these out a little bit, since the finals will be at No Surrender about a month from now. So that's why I think, all right, let the Pope get back in there in that regard. Looking at the tables match, James Storm, Bully Ray, Jeff Hardy, and Robbie E., 20 points on the line in a tables match. This is set up for Bully Ray to win it, and that's where I'm going with here for 2 reasons. One, Bully Ray currently in 8th place, 28 points. The win would boost him up to 48, which would be a tie for 3rd with Kurt Angle. So that puts him right back in the mix. That's why I'm leaning toward Bully Ray. Plus, how many tables matches as part of Team 3D and the Dudleys has he been in? So he certainly has the experience factor. That's why I'm going with him over Hardy, Robbie E., and James Storm. And then you've got the ladder match: AJ Styles, Daniels, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle.
That's gonna be awesome.
Just the work alone in this match is going to be great. Only because he's been in so few matches, because he's been bogged down with this Claire Lynch nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm going with AJ Styles. He's wrestled in the fewest matches, and he only has 16 points at this point, so a win would put him right in the middle of the pack at sole possession of 5th place. So I think AJ Styles to take the ladder match. And then, of course, the championship match, Austin Aries, Bobby Roode. You heard in the opening clip of the show, whoever loses the match, they're not getting a rematch, at least until the title changes hands again. And I think it's going to change hands tomorrow night. I think Bobby Roode is going to take it, and he's going to coast into Bound for Glory, where James Storm will win the series and challenge for the TNA World Championship. And they'll have a second chance to get that right, since they messed it up at Lockdown.
You think Aries is done?
I don't know about done, but I think he's gonna kind of settle back in the pack for a little bit until after Bound for Glory, and then November, December, January, he'll be able to get back into the mix.
All right, interesting stuff.
Yeah, I've certainly been wrong before. I've been on a little bit of a hot streak. I figure, why not? We'll go off the board a little bit and do something different, just to get a little bit closer to 500 in case I'm wrong. It at least is a sensible risk pick.
Okay.
And that's where I'm going with that. We got Ron, who's been hanging on for a while. Let's get Ron in here. Welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Yeah, how you doing this week?
What's going on, Ron?
How you doing this week?
Good.
I'm going to comment on your predictions first. First of all, the prediction you predicted the Pope. That's way off. I don't know. I would say Rob Van Dam for that. But the Pope, that would be a surprise.
Yeah, well, every once in a while you get a surprise like that.
And then the last one you just mentioned James Robert Roode. Yeah, well, yes and no. I say yes and no on that. But Robert Roode, it's like when they were toying with the idea of having John Cena being the champion after WrestleMania for Rock wins and SummerSlam. Type thing. That's why that's a good prediction, but you never know. All right, James Storm should have the championship back again, in my opinion. But I want to say something about the Aces of Eights. Now, I was looking at their eyes very closely. The guy was doing the talking, and I'm not convinced now that it's not Hulk Hogan. I don't know why. I just got Hulk Hogan's been behind things like this kind of thing before. And
so you're thinking that Hogan's kind of throwing a ruse and having himself be attacked first to kind of take him out of the running, but he's the one leading the entire thing?
He's done that before. He's done that before. But I look at the eyes under the mask, and it looks like Hulk Hogan's eyes. They were blue eyes. And Hulk Hogan's got blue eyes, if I remember correctly. And I'm not convinced that it ain't him. At first, I thought Jeff Jarrett, and the other guy was Kevin Nash, which it could be Kevin Nash. When I looked at the pictures of Kevin Nash this week all over the, Pro Wrestling Weekly, in your site. And the pictures
well, Kevin Nash, he's certainly he's embroiled in a little bit of controversy of his own. We'll get into that in a little bit. And yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't convince me. I mean, I think it's going to happen. They're going to find out. I hope they find out soon. I just know that even Bully Ray and Robert Roode said it. They know it's James Storm, but they'll throw the track on and have them involved themselves. And then earlier, my friend who you talked to earlier, Nick, said something about that he thinks it was somebody. He thinks there's somebody else also involved in the thing. And I says that could be a thing too with that. I mean, who knows?
We'll certainly see, and I mean, time will definitely tell. Thanks so much for the call, Ron. We gotta move on here. I know time quickly going away here, and looking quickly at the Facebook feedback. Doug, of course, from George's Cards and Collectibles, just kind of throwing some breaking news on here for September 15th. D'Lo Brown is going to be at the New Falls location of George's Cards and Collectibles. So another autograph signing to follow up, of course, from Sunday, August 19th. You've got Matt Hardy and Shelly Martinez. Again, to get more information on all of these, you can log on to georgescollectibles.com, or you can give them a call at 215-943-2475. Certainly interesting there. Some other Facebook feedback. I want to give a little bit of credit to Ross from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. He put a video up on the Facebook fan page. He says, a little culture, something besides WWE and TNA. From New Japan Pro Wrestling, going back to the mid-'90s, a match between Macho Man Randy Savage and Jushin Thunder Liger.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a chance to look at it a little bit, and certainly an interesting match, to say the least. Also, oh man, Mike chiming in, said a lot going on in the wrestling world. I don't think AW should have been fired. A lot have done wrong in the past. At least he said he was sorry. And also Y2J, that we all love being back. Who knows what will happen? His opinion on the WWE title situation. Punk retains at SummerSlam, goes on to take on The Rock at the Royal Rumble. The Rock goes on to WrestleMania 29 to defend the title. Meanwhile, Cena wins the Rumble, goes on to WrestleMania 29. We get that WrestleMania rematch between Rock and Cena. And Cena not only wins, not only getting back up on The Rock, but becoming WWE champion once again. Certainly an interesting long-distance forecast, to say the least. And I know Ron was questioning my pick of the Pope for Hardcore Justice, and that's because I guess I've kind of followed a rule thanks to our next person on the line here, and that rule, always bet on black. Nubius Black on the line with us. Nubius, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
What's cracking, Dairy Queen? What's going on, Remote Control?
Okay.
How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Nicknames left, right, and sideways.
Real quick, and just, I just wanted to thank the UWF fans for coming out and supporting the show last week. I know it was a big hectic, to say the least, and I really want to thank you, Fearon, for coming out there and being professional and dealing with what you had to deal with. I understand what's going on, but you really pulled it through. We couldn't have done it without you, straight up.
Oh, well, thank you. Nice. I appreciate that.
That's good.
Because, in a business filled with, let's face it, we're not all straight in the head. We need one straight head there, and you were the straight head that night, and you did all right.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
So I just wanted to get that out there. I'd like to thank the fans, and isn't it kind of funny how my match went from a one-on-one match to a one-on-four?
Yeah, there were...
Weird, right? I mean, I didn't even know Rap Bird was involved. I'm like, where the heck did he come from? Then they had a masked dude and East Junior, and my son jumped in the ring to beat up East.
To try to even the odds a little bit.
It was like my match was sponsored by Wile E. Coyote, while the main event was sponsored by Stephen King, if you know what I'm saying.
Man. Yeah, yeah, the main event was certainly a bloodbath, to say the least.
It was like a Gallagher concert without the watermelon, but they were just using Tony Hightower as the watermelon.
Oh, man.
Yeah, picture that.
No, I saw it, but yeah, no, that's a great picture for the listeners out there.
Yeah, without getting too graphic, because you know me, I say things too that kind of get people kind of riled up, and I can.
Oh, careful! I mean, you saw what happened to AW.
Yeah, and that's just not, I've seen worse. Like you said, McMahon's done worse before this happened. Michaels and Triple H, all those guys. It doesn't matter who you know. AW was a slow start from anyhow.
Yeah, he was an up-and-coming guy, so he was somebody that they could get rid of rather easily.
And plus, they tried him on 4 different gimmicks, and from wrestling to commentating to having his own talk show.
They had the whole talk show thing.
I remember that.
But, in closing, I just would like to say again, man, thank you for everything you do for us. I really appreciate it. If nobody else told you that, I appreciate it. I'm just telling you straight up. And RC,
thanks. I think Doug begs to differ on here as he put on the pro wrestling. He said, Fearon, don't get a big head. You didn't even know when some of the matches ended. Well, that's because, there wasn't a bell.
There was no bell. You ever go to a show where you didn't have a bell?
Well, I was gonna say the first I won't. I'll take the high road here, but I could call somebody out on that, but I'm not going to. I'll be nice.
No problem. You take the high road. That's not my business. I like taking the low road.
Somebody's got to take the high road.
I just, again, thank you for everything you've done, man. I hope I will get to work with you again.
I appreciate it. You know you're always welcome here on the program.
All right. You guys have a good afternoon.
All right. You do the same. Nubius Black. Always appreciate it. Now, going from one controversy to another, Kevin Nash, thanks to a Grantland interview, he was critical of some smaller wrestlers. He had a direct quote, when Benoit and Guerrero hugged at the end of WrestleMania 20, that was the end of the business, said Nash. Has business been the same since that WrestleMania? Has it come close to the Austin era? Has it come close to the NWO or the Hogan era? And he goes on to say, and this is where I have to do some interesting editing, you put 2 bleeping guys that were great workers that were the same height as the bleeping referee, and I'm sorry, man. He goes, and I guess carrying over from his Magic Mike, he says, are you going to watch a porno movie with a guy with a 3-incher? He goes on to say, even if you're not gay, you will not watch a porno movie with a guy with a 3. Even Gates laughing at that. He said, that's not the standard in those type of films. So you put a 5'7" guy as your world champion. That's the comparison he's trying to make there. And he expressed the same concerns regarding current WWE stars CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. They are not bigger than life. I bet they could both walk through airports and not be noticed unless they have a gimmick shirt on and the belt.
Bleep, man.
Is he saying size matters?
I believe that's exactly where he's going with that. And then Chris Jericho, who, I mean, he's only about 6 feet tall himself, but he's been a larger-than-life character, to say the least. He decided to get into a war of words with Nash on Twitter. He says, funny how Kevin Nash said wrestling died when Benoit and Guerrero were champs, yet the worst year for WWE business was 1995 when Nash was on top, when Nash was the champion for that year.
It gets better, though.
Yeah, Nash goes on to say, once again, the puppet master pulls the mark strings. Knew Jericho was a closet mark. First one eliminated on a BS singing show, really, referring to that duets show that he was briefly on. Ouch. And then Jericho again going for another pot shot. He says, hope Nash doesn't tear his quad tweeting.
That was the best one.
Because Kevin Nash, of course, known to be rather injury-prone, to say the least. And then he goes on to say, hashtag typical big man, hashtag NWO third wheel.
Ouch.
So a war of words on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, Randy Orton told Twitter followers he won't be wrestling at SummerSlam. He was asked why he wasn't featured.
And gun owners of America are fighting daily in Washington to protect that right.
Gate. Oh, yeah. Bringing on the news a little earlier, at least trying to there. Gate Martini. Oh, dear. Don't worry, Bill Melody. You don't have to worry about a thing, buddy. Everything's fine here. Oh, dear. All right. CM Punk also making some comments, courtesy of TMZ. TMZ reporting that he made a comment regarding UFC fighter John Bones Jones. Of course, Punk writing, let's reward more drunk drivers with endorsement deals, hashtag responsibility. Of course, Jones arrested for a DUI back in May and had his license suspended for 6 months. And Jones, of course, this past Wednesday signing a deal with Nike, a multi-million-dollar deal, which inspired the Punk tweet. So comments all over the place, and hopefully I haven't said anything that'll get me in trouble. I'll be back next week in pre-recorded form, so leave all your thoughts and comments on the Facebook fan page, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly.
It's been an interesting hour, Fran. Thanks for having me on.
It certainly has. RC, always appreciate it. Thanks to Gate Martini. Stay tuned. Country Music Hall with Gate is next, filling in for Bill Melody, as well as the Kiwanis Radio Circus here on BCB.
1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton.